Well, I'm live. I just decided to go live today and basically bitch. So I'm still home. I've been home for about 2 weeks now. I don't know if anybody's going to come in. I just decided to go live out of nowhere. So we'll just see if anybody pops in here. But in the meantime, I'm just going to talk about rates. If you're hauling flatbed out of the Allentown market, it's not too cool right now. I'm trying to go west, like Midwest or whatnot, but it's really horrible right now. Looking at like $1.20 to go into Midwest right now. The loads that do pay around $2 or more are either multi-stop or they're just gone. As soon as they pop on the board, they're gone. Either the brokers are already dishing them out, calling their, contacts, or they're just, there's just a shitload of guys calling. Now, loads that I can get are going to South Carolina, Georgia, and looking at that market right now, down south, everything coming out of there is pretty bad too. A lot of loads going out to California, but we're talking about $1.75 a mile for flatbed loads. Sure, you're going to make $5,000, but are you really going to make $5,000 after you pay for fuel and everything? So, yep, that's what I'm looking at. There's a bunch of New England loads too. The problem is you go up there and same thing. Everybody hops on the quick dollar and then gets stuck up in New England. And New England, you're talking about hauling Flagstone back to Pennsylvania for $400-500, which I guess it ain't bad as long as you have a steady run back up there. But it's hit and miss with that too. Hey, what's up, Snorlord? Oh, well, there you go. Is that better? Yeah, where it's sitting, the vent's near the phone, so. But I'm surprised the air conditioner is like turned all the way off practically. I'll just turn the car off anyway. There you go. Yeah, that's what. As soon as you wrote something they said about the vent, that's what I figured it was. Well, I guess nobody heard anything, or it didn't record anything. But like I said, I'm still over here in Hazleton. I don't know. It's like you said, Snorlord. It's very hard to want to leave when you're at home and you're looking at rates that are going into a bad market, and it's not like they're good rates. I'm not going to go down south into South Carolina and stuff for like $1.60 a mile, $1.70 a mile. It just don't make no sense. Like I said, earlier I said I've been home. It's a big decision because I'm also switching carriers. I'm in the middle of the process of sending my 2290 over to the new carrier and everything. I'm gonna probably move to, as long as everything turns out all right, I'm gonna move to dedicated reefer loads for I don't care. I'll say it, Tyson Chicken over here. And if you know anything about Pottsville, Hazleton area, the Walmart DC up here, there's Tyson over here. So, and that's all mileage based pay. No percentage. It's most of the mileage is going to be $2 to $2.50 a mile plus a 75 to 80 cent fuel surcharge. So, I'll be making over $3 a mile almost everything I'm running. All miles. So that's a godsend right now. I wonder how long that'll last, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch back over to reefer because, like Snorlord said in his other video, flatbed is just, there's overcapacity. And, with the economy, the flatbed relies on the economy. And the economy's bad. You don't have Amazon. You don't have, who else out there builds a lot of Pro Logistics and all that stuff. They're not building warehouses right now. In fact, right where I'm at right now, this pole yard, if you look, it's a utility pole yard. It's pretty much an empty yard. It used to be all Used to be coal mine at one time. Technically, this right now, we're supposed the company that I used to work for. Well, they're still here, but they're supposed to be trying to clean up the poles and get out of here for next year. But nothing's going on. Um, all the permits and stuff that were up there on a board that they put up, that they were drilling and checking the land and stuff. There were supposed to be a couple warehouses built here. All that permit board's gone. Um, the guy inside that runs this place, they had a bunch of maps and shit set up because they were having meetings. That's all gone. So I think what happened here is I think the warehouse is pulled out of here because of COVID. It's over, and well, whatever it is. I already screwed up saying that, but whatever. It's pretty much over. So the capacity's let up and everything, and yeah, they're not building the warehouses here. So if they're not building the warehouses here, that means they're not building the warehouses other places. And there's no prefab walls to deliver. There's no rebar to deliver. There's no roof trusses to deliver. And I think that's what's happening with flatbed right now. So that being said, I'd imagine dry van. There's a lot of, well, how can I put it? There's a lot of essentials, I guess, that are delivered in dry van. And for flatbed too, there's a lot of essentials, but they're tight niche markets. There's only so much you can move, like this utility poles. There's only once a carrier gets in there, that's it. That's it. You ain't you know you ain't gonna push them out unless you go dirt cheap, and by then you might as well not even run. And most flatbed companies don't play that game. So yeah, so I'm basically sitting here in Hazleton. I have the truck running. I aired up all the tires and checked them and stuff, and I've been looking at loads. I was trying to go to the Midwest, but like I said, most of the stuff, if it's Midwest, it pops up and it's gone like that. It just, that's where everybody wants to go, is the Midwest, because you can come out of there with something. But I even noticed out in the Midwest, considering my company has a lot of customers kind of right there, steel and everything, coils, pipe, you name it. They said it's even been getting tough because there's competition, a lot of competition going on in that area right now, because it's the only area that's really still moving freight for flatbed. So that being said, it's slim pickings. I can take a decent load up to New Hampshire or Massachusetts or whatnot, but then you're stuck up there. And if you want to get back, you're either going to haul wood, like really cheap lumber out of Palmerton, Mass. There, or maybe you can pick up some flagstone coming down to Pennsylvania. But you're going to go up there for $3 a mile. $3 a mile, and then come back down for under $1 to $1. Let's see what Snorlord says here. Oh, he's been talking a lot. It's tough right now. Snorlord says it's tough right now. That'll be good. I guess he's talking about me moving to reefer. Yeah. I'm gonna ride that train until you can't. Let's see. Here's what Snorlord says. I suggest you get a decent rate out of Ohio last week due to people undercutting. Really? Out of Ohio? I'm guessing that just capacity is what's doing it now to flatbed. That's the only thing I could think is capacity is really bad. Oh, what's up, Nomadic Brit? I see you're in here. Shit, I guess I skipped over you. Yeah, I guess the market capacity is just, I guess load volumes are really low and capacity is still through the roof. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. Like I said, I figured there would be a lot of carriers drop out of this by now. I figured they would have dropped out even earlier, but I guess there's just that much capacity in the market. It's ridiculous. Either that, you know what I think it is? I think it's a perfect storm. I think there's a lot of capacity, I bet, did drop out, but the economy is doing so bad that, and things were moved so quickly during the pandemic that it's almost like I said, the perfect storm. You got huge amount of capacity still, even though a lot of carriers dropped out, and or are barely making it, and you have the market tightening and shrinking. Um, so I guess it's shrinking faster than carriers are dropping out, and it's just we're just watching the fight to the bottom. I guess. Um, I guess it's it's going to be a bloodbath. Like I said, I've been like I told in a few, I guess it was a couple live videos ago or a live video ago. I said that if you're planning to get in this right now, this you hear about the horror stories of 2019, which I don't know, it didn't seem too bad to me compared to this, but I guess that's because fuel was reasonable still. But this is nothing like 2019. This is gonna it's a slower descent, but it's gonna be it's worse. It's worse than 2019. Um, this is not this is not one of those markets where if it's gonna. I don't think this is one of those markets where everyone says, "Oh, get in, it's gonna make you stronger." Uh, this is one of those markets that's gonna kick you to the curve. Let's see. Snortlord, too much capacity and a drop in volume. Perfect storm. Yep. Yep. Tipped off by fuel too. Let's see. Nomadic Brit. My savings grace is barely any overhead and contract niche. Yep. Yep. Yeah, you're doing that liquid bulk tanker stuff. Yeah, that'll be one of the last things to go, Nomadic, if it gets really bad. But you know what? If it gets really bad for you, you're gonna have like armored cars and stuff like following you around to take, I don't know, food goods to craft foods, and it's gonna be, I don't that's those conspiracy craziness stuff. But it's pretty bad right now. If it gets worse, like I said, it's gonna start turning into stupid stuff like that. You're gonna see certain it's almost going to be, remember what happened to Canada that year? I guess northern Canada, what they have, big storms or something, and people were showing film of like Walmart and stuff up in northern Canada, and I guess it's BC area, where the shelves were empty. There was no meat, there was some canned goods. It looked like from a movie. And I guess carriers were trying to charge like $15 a mile or something insane to go up there, because I guess the roads were being washed out or snow or something. I forget what it was, but if that happens, here in the States, I you wouldn't think it would happen, but I guess it's a possibility if the supply chain gets messed up too much with inflation and especially fuel. I don't know what's going on with the news and not covering the fuel shortages, but I think the fuel shortages are real. I keep seeing stuff on Facebook, guys posting uh you know messages on the pumps that they're pilots or loves are out of fuel. Just the other day, the I went to go get fuel over here at fuel. I guess it's called Fuel Man or Fuel Stop over here in the industrial park off of 81 in Hazleton. And there was a line of trucks to get in there. I know it gets busy in there, and it's not, it's kind of tight, but it was a line of trucks down the center of the road. And I got out and I walked up a few things, and I guess a guy had a CB on. He was talking to him, and I said, "What's up with the line here?" And apparently the guy said that um, the TA on 80 was out of fuel in New Jersey, and I guess they came over and then they went to stop at the Sunoco over here, or I don't know. I know there's a what is it, Sunoco with a IHOP in it, and he said that they were out of fuel, or they didn't have a lot of fuel. I guess there was only a certain pumps that were still sucking out of the tanks, or what was left of the tank. And yeah, so that caused the pilot and I guess the fuelman stop over here in Hazleton to be freaking crowded. I waited for like 45 minutes over a pilot to get fuel today, or not today, yesterday. So in my opinion, I think the fuel crisis is kind of real. I don't think we're gonna like run out, but I mean it's gonna be, you're gonna have possibilities of going somewhere and not having fuel. I think that's gonna start happening. So don't run your tanks empty, I guess, if you're out there right now. That'd probably be a bad idea. Get fuel when you can, and just keep your tanks at least, halfway yeah, full. So I don't know. I'm just venting. I spent like 3 hours talking to brokers back and forth. I've noticed a lot of brokers have went to email. We're doing a lot of email brokering again. I know there was a lot of email brokering before during the pandemic, but I think that's just because they were getting bombarded with calls so much. But now, you email a broker, it takes them like 20 minutes to get back to you. They don't get back to you fast. Then they get back to you and they ask for your rate. So then you give them a rate, and then they disappear. And then you got to bug them. And then they're asking you, is that the best you can do? Blah, blah, blah. So they're using emails now as basically a bidding war to see who's going to throw out a lower number there, and they're going to snatch it up. So, you spend what, 20 minutes on one load? While you're trying to run 3 or 4 other loads off your phone, check them or email them or call them. So it gets very aggravating to where you just give up, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just I don't want to look at the DAT board anymore. So I'm just chilling here, and I figured I would do a live. See, someone just popped up here. Oh. DeNova. Oh, well, hey, what's up? So, that being said, that's the realist, the realism what's going on out here. If you're stuck on spot market freight, I guess, especially flatbed, because like F8's doing good, doing reefer right now. There for a while, I was doing pretty good. I was hauling a lot of multi-stop skid steers and stuff. A lot of it went down to Florida. It wasn't paying FEMA rate, but it was paying good enough that there was a direct customer out of Jacksonville I was able to hop up to and pull insulation out of Jacksonville up into at least, what is it, the Charlotte area and stuff. So I was doing that for a little bit, but even that, that's all gone. Everybody's got their excavators and stuff. I mean, I could go out to South Dakota and still do some multi-stop skid steer loads and high lifts and stuff like that, out of the manufacturer out there. But it's just not paying enough. There's too many guys underbidding to be doing multi-stop to where there's a chance to, and you're running hard when you're doing multi-stop. Multi-stops are always, I mean, I guess you could slow down. You could slow down and do on a multi-stop, and take a whole week to do it. But depending on how long, how far out spread the stops are and how many miles you're putting on the truck and everything, it just don't turn. It's not worth it then. You used what, $2,000 in fuel for a $5,500 multi-stop, plus whatever your carrier's cut is or your cost, and you start getting down into company driver pay. Especially like me, I let my insurance go, but I'm going to get it again because it's November. I use the marketplace because it's the cheapest place to get insurance. But you start paying $400, $500, $600 a month for health insurance, and then the cost of the truck and everything else. Those are all added costs onto your operation, and then you have home costs and everything. So as an owner operator, if you start netting, I would say if you start netting around $2,000 and you don't take all your costs into consideration, all those little costs that you don't think about are, they'll bring you down into company driver pay or less, maybe, if you don't have insurance and stuff. So that's the biggest thing I'm seeing right now. Where unless you can get dedicated, or you have, I would like to say, if you have brokers that are really not necessarily your friends, but business partners, you could still do good. But the problem is, there's only so much that they'll put up with too. To where the money's getting tight for some brokerages and stuff. Well, Snorlord knows. He just did the who's cutting off? TQL, I think he said is, or CH Robinson is laying off brokers. So they see that the market's changing, and they know they're going to make less money too. So they're going to work with whoever's the lowest bidder. So even if you've done good work for them and stuff, they're gonna right now they're gonna start taking chances on shitty carriers. They're gonna require more. They're gonna try to weed a lot of those shitty carriers out, but they're still gonna find them. They're still gonna get that carrier that'll that has a direct customer or and only needs a backhaul, or they're gonna find that carrier that can just where the driver lives in the truck, has no home expenses. Um, we know what usually these guys look like, and their accents and everything like that, and or we hear them bullshitting on the CB. But that's what's going to make it in this market, being dirt cheap, and fuel mileage. I'd like to say that I have a newer truck and I get great mileage, but I don't. If you're not getting 8 miles a gallon right now, you're literally throwing money out the window. Uh, unless you actually have a direct customer or some really good brokerages to that call and feed you loads. It's just I see the yin and yang to that too, because I had a pack car and I was paying $10,000 every other month in repairs for that thing, and it was dealer only. So it's unless you can afford like $150,000 Cascadia, and even then I can't guarantee you that you ain't gonna have any problems. You're probably not running the truck that you should be running. I hate to say it. I mean, I like my Peterbilts and all that stuff too, but those companies that you see running around with those custom Peterbilts and stuff, they have buddies that they've worked relationships out that own, I don't know, feed companies and all kinds of other stuff. It's about who you know. And even then, when it gets this bad, the economy, who will only work so long, because customers, they want to make money too. Everybody wants to make some money. And if this goes the route the way it is going, we're the first ones to see the economic impact, I would say, because we are the most expendable. When I used to work for a few major, they were manufacturers mostly. The first thing that was always on the chopping block, the very first line item to see if we could cut costs, was shipping. It was a necessary evil. If we could just push it outside the door and the manufacturing, the product would get where it has to go by itself, we'd be freaking, the CEO or the accountant, they would be happy as shit. Like, well, I used to do granite and stuff like that, and that's what it was. If they could cut the cost, that was always the first thing to go, was cutting the cost on the granite, or other stuff that I've dealt with that we manufactured. And usually some of the last costs were pretty much management pay, maintenance costs for equipment. Let's see. Buying new equipment, new purchases. Those are some of the bottom costs. Usually employee pay and benefits were also, that they had to, they would cut that before they'd even cut that stuff. But that's what, we're expendable. We're a commodity, we're expendable. If they can find somebody to do it cheaper, they will. No matter how good of a job you do. Now, I guess if they get somebody in there and they do a really shitty job and mess things up, but they're gonna try that shitty carrier first, no matter what. They're gonna try them, and if they can get by, they'll get by with it. They'll put up with the bullshit, as I've seen it happen. I've seen it actually in the manufacturing process. They'll put up with pieces of granite falling off the truck and shit. As long as lawsuits don't get involved or they get the finger pointed at them, they'll put up with it, because They'll just fucking take the granite. They'll go through the insurance company. They'll get their money back for the granite. And they're still paying that damn carrier. They still have that carrier. Now, I guess if it got so bad that it was constant, not, once in a while, yeah, I'm sure they would drop the carrier. But, it professionalism will only go so far in a market like this. And then it's going to go to the lowest bidder. The problem is, though, we're bidding against ourselves, and there's just some costs that we are unable to cut. Like pretty much. Oh, let's see. Oh, Snorlord's talking to the pneumatic Brit. So I know I'm not giving much hope for anybody out there. I mean, I guess I don't really want to. That's when I made this YouTube channel. I never really wanted to jazz anything up or sling bullshit around. I always wanted to be as real as I could, and not really cry wolf, but I at least wanted to put it out there that when shit's going bad for me, that you can see it, that it's not just I would like to say it's bad business decisions. Of course, I bought an old truck. It had problems, but I didn't think the market. When I got into the market, I got in in August of last year. I figured I would at least get a whole year, and even with the truck breaking and stuff, I figured I could dig out of that, and I was able to. If this was if I bought this truck in this market, I would say about the first or second breakdown, it was like $5,000 or $6,000. I'd have been done. There would have been no way for me to keep up with the repairs. And the only savings grace I would say is it's an older truck. A lot of the repairs I was able to do myself. Things didn't cost that much. I was able to get parts for it. If it was a newer truck and it had to sit at the dealership for a few weeks, yeah, I might not even been able to make it in the market as the way it was. So it's all a matter of opinion, a matter of luck. To be honest with you, some guys will buy will buy a used Cascadia from 2014 with 700,000 miles on it, and they'll run it half a million miles. They'll have half a million miles on the truck and never had anything really go wrong with it. Same DPF, same whatever, and they're still making money. So, like I said, it's a matter of luck, and you try to buy the best equipment you can, but even then you still can get screwed. Yeah, you're right, Pneumatic Brit. It's how you deal with the situation. And in this market, sometimes pushing in a market like this, because I don't see it getting better anytime soon. I hate to say it, but this is one of those markets where if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel with, like, let's say your truck break in or whatnot, it might be a good idea to just park the truck. If you're financing it, I don't know, if you're financing it, I guess try to find a carrier that has dedicated freight and just realize that you might not be getting home. You might be running those 3 or 4 weeks straight before you get to home to see your family. If that's really what you want to do, if you want to keep that truck for the long term and keep your business going, if you're actually committed, you might have to sacrifice a lot right now. It might be very depressing, but in the long run, if that's what you want to do, if that's what you're looking forward to, is keeping that company and expanding it, that's might be what you have to do. You might have to sign on with some shitbag carrier that has dedicated freight and run dirt cheap. That's just what might have to happen. I mean, luckily I found one that isn't paying dirt cheap, but I mean, I don't want to do reefer. I hate doing reefer. I mean, it might be better because it's Tyson, because Tyson will call him up and be like, hey, unload this guy. We're not going to sit here, I got detention. I got, layover pay and everything. But I mean, if you're doing this on your own authority, it's totally different game doing reefer. But like I said, I don't want to sit there freaking doing the EDL crawl into the door, freaking having to wait for my text message for the lumper, being not getting any sleep. It's just it sucks, but it's just what I gotta do. If the market comes back, I'll swap back over to flatbed. But I don't see things changing in a good 2 years. We had 2 years of good rates, and I think we're gonna have 2 years of shit, especially now. I'm not trying to get political, but things didn't work out the way I thought they were going to do, especially in my state, Pennsylvania. I have no idea what the hell. I don't know if it was the mail-in votes that screwed shit up, or what. But people that are dead that got voted for, people that, in my opinion, should be home resting because they're practically they got brain damage and they need some therapy and help. People that shouldn't been elected were elected here in this state. So I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to really get into political bullshit, but it always brings out the worst in people anymore. Other than that, it's a nice day. I'm just so tired of looking at the DAT board. I figured I would come on here and bullshit. So that's the glorious market that I'm looking at over here. I could always deadhead to Pittsburgh. I've done it. I've been doing it every once in a while. I'm just tired of driving out there, wasting a whole day to drive out to Pittsburgh to get a mediocre rate. I would say if I didn't have anything else lined up, I would be franticing looking at the DAT board. And I would just probably grab anything. I probably would be going to South Carolina right now and just winging it and hoping I can find something out of there. It's just when you get that, I've learned over periods of time of doing that getting aggravated and just grabbing anything just to make your cost for the day isn't always the best idea. You're just prolonging. You're prolonging sometimes the loss of income or the loss of profit, especially with the way fuel is. If fuel was back down to $3 a gallon, the rates that we're seeing suck, but you could make it. You can make it right now, and I know there's guys out in certain places that are getting $4. I'll call him back. I know there's some guys that are getting like $4 and 50 cent or $4.80 fuel right now, but that's not everywhere. It's wherever you're at, like South Dakota and stuff. I know fuel's still cheap out there, if you want to call that cheap. Minnesota and stuff, but you can only take so much fuel with you. I'm lucky; I can fill up with 300 gallons. But you're still gonna, if you want to get paid pretty decent out of like South Dakota, Minnesota and stuff, if you want to make decent money, you're gonna go into an area where fuel is high. Either you're gonna go into California, or you're gonna go back over to East Coast. So, like I said, there's only so much fuel you can take with you. So you're still, you're still losing money somehow. It still adds up in the long run. Right now, it's pretty much depends on how many of those good loads you can snag that are actually paying $3 a mile. And I would say keep in a good market, like run the middle of the country, get into the mid, I know for flatbed like Louisiana and stuff, the port cities. If you have your TWIC card, see, I got screwed. My TWIC card expired, and it's such a pain in the butt to get it over here. I'd have to go to Newark to get it. And it would help me out right now. I could take a cut. There's plenty of good TWIC loads right now coming out of the Philadelphia port, and then Baltimore and stuff. But then you look at stuff coming back here, and it's, if it's going to Philly or going to Baltimore, there ain't it's paying shit going into Baltimore. So you got to really try to push the brokers for almost double what they're asking for usually. Right now, what I consider a good rate is like 250 a mile. You can get 250 to $2 a mile for flatbed. You're doing good. Huh, that's what I would like to say. You're doing good. Now, and those were good rates. Those were good rates a couple years ago. 250, $2 a mile for flatbed. You go back 5 years ago, those were good rates. Then again, tires weren't double priced, parts weren't double the price, fuel wasn't double what it was. Well, you probably go back 5 years ago, you probably could have bought fuel for what, like $1.90, $2.20 a gallon. So double, I might as well say double or triple the price with fuel. So yeah, I don't know what to do. I'm hanging on, hanging on. That's what I'd like to let everybody know is just hang in there. But I don't think things are gonna get better. Um, Shit, like I said, I don't even know. I'm trying to give some education here, but I'm also venting. So it's really disheartening, because like what Snorlord said, he knew guys that were, you know, paid off trucks, paid off trailers and stuff that were going bankrupt and stuff in a $3 market. And the first thing I did when I went out here is I looked for, after my incident with the pack car and stuff, and the amount of money I was paying for that truck. I was able to get rid of it because sales prices were high, so I got out of that truck. And what I was looking for was like a rebuilt pre-emissions truck. Well, I was able to find a few good prices on some, but the problem was, since people were actually starting bidding wars at the dealership. The last truck I had was a Cat that I was looking at before I bought this one. It was a Cat C15. It had 210,000 miles on the platinum rebuild, certified by a Cat dealer. I even called the Cat dealer up and checked the invoice number and everything. It was rebuilt. And I was going to buy it. Had everything lined up, the financing and everything, and I was going to dealership. Well, somebody came in with cash and offered the dealership $6,000 more than what I was, trying to get it for. And he said, he looked at me and said, will you go $6,000 more? And I said, I'm not. Why? So I'll go 6,000, and then what? He'll go 8, because it was that hard to find pre-emission stuff, especially with rebuild on it. So that's how I ended up with this truck, which is the sister of that. Then this had an ISX in it, but it had low mileage for the year. It's a 2006 really. I know they put 2007 on when I bought it, but it's a 2006 really. And I bought a 2006 International for $25,000. That had 620,000 miles on it. Only thing I was looking at, I didn't even really look at the rear or anything or what transmission is. I just looked at it and said, "Hey, no emissions." And that might have saved me, because my other options were, I was looking at Cascadias with 2016 Evolutions for 50, 60 grand, but they all had 700,000 miles on them. You start taking bigger risks with emissions, especially when you get up in those miles. You don't know if anybody replaced the SCR, the freaking DPF, or any of that stuff. So I took a gamble, and this is where I ended up with. I didn't have the problems I had, like the rear, what was it? The power divider went out. That was like a $6,000 fix, things like that. That was in the first like 3 months that I had the truck. It would have been a different ball game where I'd be sitting right now. For my business side of my bank account right now, it's if all the drive tires blew, I would be, bankrupt business size practically. But the engine blew, I'd be bankrupt, business wise. And I'm not going to pull, the way this market is. If the market was still good and that happened, I would be fine with pulling $10,000 or $20,000 out of the savings account and paying for it. But I'm not. I'm smart enough to keep my business and my home expenses separate. I'm not going to do that. One, my wife would kill me, and two, I would almost feel like, I'd pull 10 grand out, fix something, and have something else go. It's not like I'm going to make that 10 grand back. I might be able to keep the business going and and still take a small cut of profit and save, but it's not going to be like it was. You could save 10 grand, what, in like 3 or 4 weeks before. You could save 10 grand. If you didn't have any real crazy cost or home expenses, you could save in a month easily 10 grand. It would be back like that. But you're not going to do that now. So that's, the profit margins aren't there. So, like I said, I'm venting more than anything. I'm just hoping this is kind of educational for guys. If anybody, there's 6 guys in here. I know, and most of you guys are all veterans. But I guess on the replay, if any new guys watch this, or guys that are thinking about getting into it, it's not the time. This is not a pull yourself up by the bootstraps kind of market. You might be, depending on where you're coming from, you might be making more than where you were, but you might as well just become a company driver then. I don't see too many. If I'm an owner operator and I'm making pulling in $2,000 a week after expenses, and you don't count health insurance, you don't count your 401k and everything. Where are you really sitting at? Is $2,000 to $2,500 really good money for an owner operator in 2022? Is it, if that's what you're netting? My opinion, I don't think so. I think you're overlooking a lot of costs that are associated with all that. I think, like I said, you should, health insurance. There's $500 right there a month. So what, you're talking about $150 a week? Well, there's $150 out of that $2,000. And then what are you putting away for your 401k or your retirement? You probably should be putting away at least like $200-$300 a week, I would hope, if you're really planning on retiring with anything. If you're an owner operator, let's see, I use Vanguard for my money market. What is it? My money market or mutual fund. For my mutual fund, I use Vanguard. So I haven't put no money in it recently, but there for a while in the beginning, I was throwing money in there, and you know what? It's doing horrible. Even Vanguard can't get it right. The stock market's so screwed up right now. So let's see. There's some comments coming in. Oh, what's up, TBT? TBT is in the house. Yeah, like I said, there's some companies that are making over $2,000. I know some LTL guys that are doing like $2,300 gross LTL. So, I'm sure after taxes and stuff, they're left with maybe like $1,600 to $1,800, but they're getting all that. Yeah, retirement is for Trumps. Yeah, Snorlord. I don't know. With inflation the way it is, I wouldn't even know how you would even, if it runs away the way it seems like it's going to run away. I have no idea what you could save for retirement. I know I sure as hell, I wouldn't mind. I'm fine with working to 65, 70 years old. And even after that, having some kind of part-time job, because I would go fucking nuts just sitting at the house, unless I could afford to take vacations and do things, and maybe have like a 30-year-old girlfriend or something. Yeah. Like I see my old man, he lost a lot of his retirement when 9/11 happened. Had a lot of money involved in stocks. Then my mom had problems, so he was pulling money out of the 401k to help her, pay for medical bills and do stuff. And he's not hurting, but I don't want to live like him right now. He's just living by himself, eating he eats canned food, and he just, I don't know. I guess he's happy, but he's always been a hard ass. But I know he's, not living the dream. And he always thinks if anything happens, like his knees give out or some shit, that he's screwed. I know my grandfather died and left him money too. So he ain't really hurting, but I guess he just sees everything and he's afraid to live to live his life. He's afraid he's going to outlive his money. I mean, I don't think he's going to, but how my grandfather lived till he was 106, 107, and I think he just died because he was tired of living, to be honest with you. But it all, in the end, you can't take it with you. Like, to be honest, when I started doing this crap, becoming an owner operator and everything, I don't have side by sides. I haven't bought anything. I bought my house cash. I do have baggage because I have child support and stuff, and I buy my daughter stuff that I know the child support doesn't go to what it's really supposed to go. But my child support pays my ex's rent. Really, is what it does. So I do have some costs. Technically, that's a mortgage payment, my child support, and then doing other things. Paying for supplies. Let's see, I spent like $300 or $400 on our field hockey stuff, $500 or something like that. So, technically I do have a mortgage. It's just child support and shit like that. But I mean, other than that, I really don't have that many bills. Some credit card bills and shit. But I'm definitely, I could live farther below my means. Like I try to follow Dave Ramsey, or at least try to do that, less debt as possible. Or I would probably ended up with a $60,000 or $70,000 truck. But it's weird because I just don't feel like I don't feel like I'm spending money. Like I'm not buying bass boats. I'm not buying new. This is an '09 Ram 1500. I got 200,000 miles on this damn thing. I bought it for 12 grand. Had 88,000 miles on it, and I bought it 2016. Still running it. Still looks, to me, it still looks pretty decent. Still runs. It's paid off. But like, I still feel like I'm treading water with rates the way they are. It was different. Like in the beginning, like I was pulling loads out of Chicago to New Jersey for $5,000. Fuck. Hell, I would go out to Jersey, and then I would pick up a load out of one of the warehouses out that way, the U.S. Foods, or not U.S. Well, no, not U.S. Foods, U.S. Cold Storage and shit. I would come over here, or I'd pick it up in, like I said, over in Jersey, and I would end up in the Aldi out in Illinois, and I'd go back to Illinois for like $3,200. What, 4 days? 4-day turnaround, 5-day turnaround, and you made what? Like $8,000, and then if you run the weekend or whatnot, do a quick weekend load for $1,500. You were doing $10,000 by doing nothing. It was easy as hell to make money. Hell, there was a week when I was running the reefer, I did $15,000. But then again, I did $15,000, and then next week my power divider goes out. There goes freaking $6-7 grand right there, and a little, week of sitting. You still have to pay the carrier, the fucking insurance and everything. So, like I said, there's a lot of luck that has to deal with this too. Oh, let's see. TBT and Snore have been talking. Retirement, child support sucks financially. I hear you. Yeah, TBT. I mean, I don't mind paying it. I just wish. I wouldn't say I want to dedicate where it goes. I just wish it, like, I don't know. I just wish it actually benefited my daughter more. Like, she actually would get what she wants and not, have it just go into a slush fund, I guess. Yep, you're right. TBT, that's my responsibility. Yep. Let's see, Snorlord. A lot, and I mean a lot of drivers are just treading water right now. Not in the red, but just surviving. And that's where I am too. The problem is though, like, most guys will just cover their eyes up and they'll just say things are all right. I'm more of a planner. To be honest, since like I said, I'm not trying to be political, but since Donald Trump left office and whatever happened, I can't see a vision, like a future where where, you know, I could grow my company. I can't see it. It's like it's dead. There's nothing good going on. Every time you turn around, there's this new law they're trying to pass, this new legislation, this new tax. And it just adds up, and it starts becoming frustrating, because I figured by now, I would have thought, like I said, I thought the market would have probably slowed down, but I don't think it would have went as bad as it did. Like I said, about April. That's when I think April of last year, or April of this year, is kind of when it started tanking. At least to me personally, it did. Or at least got shitty. I figured I'd have another whole year of this, and I would have been able to build up some extra funds. I was planning to buy another truck. I have a pretty close friend that, you know, would easily work for me. He's worked for me before. And I figured I would have actually grown and decided to get my authority. The worst thing I kind of think that I screwed up on is when the whole pandemic happened. I had my authority. And when I saw, because, you know, in the beginning there, shit slowed down to nothing. It was horrible. And I put my authority on the back burner. I put it on hold. And now thinking about it, maybe I should just put up with those couple months of nothing happening, and, you know, where would I be today? I probably would be in a lot better spot. I just didn't want to take the chance. I didn't know how long it was going to last like that, and I didn't want to, you know, when you have your authority, you can't just be like, oh, I can't pay the insurance and stuff. All that stuff gets recorded. That'll screw you in the future. So like I said, I put it on the back burner, and I just waited and waited and waited. And then after about a year and a half of me still seeing the rates high and people making money hand over fist, I was like, well, I guess this pandemic thing isn't going to, you know, we ain't going to see it get any worse. So I hopped on it. I leased onto a carrier, and I said, look, I'll do this for about 6 months. And if it's still going good, I'll get my authority again. And I'm glad I didn't, because I'd be here now, like with this. So, let's see. TBT. Sounds like if you're not happy on the spot market, maybe consider finding a company job to lower stress. Well, I mean, I'm not really stressed. I'm disappointed, I would say. Like, it gets disappointing talking to like 15, 20 brokers, waiting for them to call you back, waiting for them to email you. And it's, you know, for them to come back with a rate that you wouldn't, you know, you'll shoot, let's say you'll shoot for $2.75 a mile. Pretty decent rate for flatbed. All right. And you figure worst comes worst, they'll come back at you with what? $2.50, $2.40 a mile. And they come back with you, you know, they're like, oh, we can't move it for $1.80. You're like, you know, you don't even want to fucking message them back and say nothing. You just, you know, wait for your next email, or call someone else or whatever. You know, like I said, it's more disappointing. And I do have, I guess you weren't here for the earlier part. I'm right now kind of in a transition period. I got all my information submitted. I just got to submit my 2290 to this other carrier that's going to be dedicated out of Tyson over here. And it pays by the mileage. There's no percentage. They, you know, I guess they take their, I don't know, I guess they get paid by the customer, I guess. They're making the money off the Tyson, and they're just feeding me the mileage pay, what's left over. But, you know, with fuel surcharge and everything, it's going to be into, you know, in the $3 mile range for most stuff. You know, it depends. If it's really short, they pay you a set, like, $600 rate. And I guess fuel surcharge and I guess stop pay is $65, and whatever detention is. So let's say if I do a real short run, I think under 100 miles or whatever, it's $650, and then I get the $65 stop pay, and then the fuel surcharge. So I mean, you know, it's not the greatest, but I mean, if I end up doing long runs, that's where I'll make the money on long runs. So we'll see how that goes. The best thing is it's a lot of drop and hook. It's all using Tyson's trailers. I don't pay rent. I just pay insurance, and that's it. That's all my cost. So, like I said, I'm just like in the middle of transition. That's also one reason why I feel so shitty about looking at the DAT board. Like, like, what the hell am I doing here when I could just say screw it, get whatever load I can back to Midwest, and just drop this trailer off and say, hey, I'm done with this shit, and sit here and wait for Tyson to bring me on or whatever. It's not Tyson, but that's their customer. So, um, and hey, people always need to eat chicken, so that's not going to really slow down much. Fast food's going to still, they serve a lot of fast food. They serve U.S. foods. They serve, all that shit. So, like I said, I don't like doing reefer. I've, when reefer goes good, and they're those nice day pickups and morning drops, and you're only there for 3 or 4 hours. That fine. The reefer's great then, but when you start getting into like, well, hell, even like Walmart. I like Walmart. Most of the Walmart, it's all nighttime, 2 a.m. unload and shit, but at least it's efficient. They're not usually dickheads. Um, and I've never had a problem really delivering to Walmart. But it's like, so when you get to these U.S. foods and trying to think like CNS up in, was that out by Springfield, Mass. It's just, you're sitting there, you're waiting, you're trying to sleep, trying to take a nap, or at least trying to sleep, but you got to wait for the fucking text message to tell you you're undone, you're done unloaded and what your lumper is and shit, and you ain't gonna hear the fucking text, and then you got to do the ELD crawl, and it's just, especially at least there they let you stay on the property still if you're decent with the freaking security guard. But I mean, if they don't, then you got to find somewhere to drive to at freaking 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're already dead tired, you have a headache, you're irritated. um it's just, I don't like doing reefer. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna have that many problems because Tyson's gonna fucking hit their asses with a detention or layover, but we'll see. Let's see. TBT Snorlorn, between loves guitar picks, using them on the road here in the truck when I can play. That is. Oh yeah, playing a guitar. Yeah, I can't play any musical instruments. I kind of got into piano there when I was young for a little bit, but I can't play shit. What the hell, my little lady say? Did you get a hot load? Yeah, I got a hot load, hun. Also, like yesterday, I was here. Like I said, I talked to brokers for a whole 2 hours. I finally got a load of wire reel coming out of Williamsport there, and I get all the way up there, and I get a call, and they said that the customer no longer needs it. Here's your $100, tonneau. Have a nice day. Well, I put $500 of fuel in the truck, drove 100 miles up there to go get it. Now I'm up there. It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. What the fuck am I going to get in a flatbed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon? So I drove all the way back, went home. So Snowlord, I wish I knew how to play fake it till you make it. Yeah, no. Oh shit. I can play Guitar Hero. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm on here mostly venting, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully somebody new watches this video and says, maybe I should be a company guy for a while longer and not put myself through stress and anxiety and shit. And yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. Like I said, hopefully I'll be happier when I'm doing reefer. Hopefully I'll be making the money. I don't know if anybody ever heard of it. I'm just gonna say, because who cares? They already hired me anyway. It's CRL, Clark's. What the hell is it? Clark's refrigerated lines. I don't know, something about SBL2, or their subsidiary of that company out of Arkansas and Texas. You know, I read some shit on Trucker Report about them, so hopefully I get make the amount that I'm hoping I can make. There were guys talking about, you know, grossing. This is what 2019, 2020. They were talking about grossing like 56 to 6 grand a week, and then like I said, I don't have no real costs, um, so I should be netting like at least $4,000. I'm fine with netting $4,000 a week right now. Hell, um, the last loads I was running, I was doing, like I said, multi-stop. I did $8,000 gross. By the time I'm done paying the carrier and doing fuel and shit, I'm what, down to $2,800, $3,200. I mean, that's not bad, but just the amount of running and bullshit I had to put up with, it doesn't, you know, if it was $4,000, I'd probably be a lot happier about it. But just the bullshit, it you know, to keep that up constantly, um, you know, it starts waning on you. And I didn't really feel like doing that. The multi-stop loads that I was doing, and they're not there anymore anyway, because a lot of that was because the freaking hurricane down there in Florida. So, uh, bring on another hurricane, I guess. I don't know. Georgia. Well, it's either a broker. Oh, it's gone anyway. So it's probably a broker trying to call me back. I remember I called somebody in Georgia, but they wouldn't give me the money I wanted. And it's what now? It's now 1 o'clock, just about. So you know, this is the time where brokers start, or you know, freaking out and wondering if they're going to get their load pushed off the dock by the end of the day. So that's probably what that was. Um, the problem is where I'm at right now. I can't think any loads that are nearby that I'd be able to get to, because most of them are probably about 100 miles away. Like I said, majority of loads right now here, I'm sitting in Hazelden. Majority of the flatbed loads are in Philadelphia. Um, there's a few in Bethlehem, but they're going to shit areas. I'm not going to go to Utah. I'm not going to go to Salt Lake. And they're trying to pay $4,900, $5,200. I'm not going to go into Salt Lake for $5,200. For $7,200, I'll go into Salt Lake, not $5,200. Um, hell, even 65, I would maybe like think about it now. But even then, what, I'm going to come out of there for $1 a mile, maybe get over to Houston. I can't go to California because I got a pre-emissions truck. So, that too, I didn't think that was going to affect me. When you get out west, if you can't fucking run out of California, like if you go into Utah or Wyoming, and you can't run over to you know, run over to freaking California, yeah, that sucks. That sucks a little bit. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but I guess it is now. But even then, California don't have much coming out of it right now either. I guess it depends how little. It depends on how much you're willing to take right now. If you're willing to make company driver pay and to keep your company afloat, then you're gonna make it. If you don't have super high costs. If yeah, heading back to California again, TBT. Yeah, I don't like going. I've been out when I was out there a few times and I had a newer truck. I don't know. It just did not seem. The money was okay. It just didn't seem like I wanted to put up with the bullshit. Like, God, going through fucking Los Angeles and shit. And, you know, I didn't mind going out to Ontario, Canada, and stuff like. I mean, not Canada, Ontario, California, and stuff. But I hated going to like the coast. I hated going to the coast. What is company pay compared to owner operator pay? Um, well, TBT. I guess there's supposedly, from what I've heard on YouTube, supposedly there are still guys that are getting paid 80 cents a mile company pay, and supposedly there's guys that are making $2,500 a week company. You know, if I run some of the really if I run over 3,000 miles and I run a lot of like stop and multi-stop shit, I could probably net what, 3 grand, 3,500, maybe 4 grand. But if I'm netting like I'm constantly netting $3,000 or under $3,000, what's the point? Um, like I said, once you start paying your own health insurance, you're trying to put some money away for savings and or retirement. Uh, you got all that extra responsibility and all those problems that can come with the truck breaking down and stuff. What's the point? I mean, I guess you could become a company driver and have bad luck, have your EGR go bad all the time on your Freightliner or something, and be down waiting, and But I mean, like I said, that's all a matter of opinion and stuff. I hate to say that luck kind of plays a role in trucking, but it does. You could replace your whole emission system and still have problems. It's just what happens. So, I guess really, if you become a company driver and you aren't, see, the problem is when I used to be a company driver, I would actually care whether or not I showed up to places on time. I cared about whatever, I didn't like beat the shit out of their trucks. Um, I kept my truck clean. I washed it. I put tire shine on it and shit. I even went out and bought hubcaps and shit. Um, so technically I got stressed out a little bit as a company driver because I wanted to do a good job. It's just the way it's just the way I was wired. My old man's like fucking 80 years old, born in 42 or some shit. So it's just the way I grew up. I grew up with that old work hard mentality, and you'll get somewhere. Uh, so technically, as being a company driver, would I say I'd have less stress? It depends. Um, but to still make like $2,200 and have not have any of those extra headaches or responsibilities, it's pretty fucking good money. Even though inflation's still there, you're only having to worry about what inflation on products at home. You don't have to worry about inflation on the tires, the maintenance, the shop hours. You don't have to worry about that if you're a company guy. So, let's see. TBT. Oh, let's see. Where is? Hold on. Let's see here. Oh shit! I didn't mean to delete. Oh, I didn't mean to delete that comment, but I guess I pushed it by accident. Let's see. Old school, new school. Where is California? Well, it is somewhere between hell and I'd say purgatory, I guess. Oh, let's see. TVT, with 2 years experience, we have a division that pays 92 cents per mile and the other division pays 86 cents per mile. If you don't have all your endorsements, it's 80 cents or lower. Yeah, well, there you go, TBT. So let's say you're doing dry van right now. What's the dry van? Snorlord, you know what's dry van? What's dry van paying right now? Like $1.30? You see a lot of? I'm guessing, right? Is that what it is? About $1.30? I'm sure there's a lot of loads that are $1 for dry van. I'd imagine. I guess he'll chime in here, I guess, when he's not busy. But shit. So I'd run my own, run my own truck, be dealing with $1.30 to, let's say, $1.50 a mile freight, or I could go run at TBT's company, who he's working with, and make 90 cents a mile. You aren't going to be paying. If you're running for like $1.30 to $1.50, I highly doubt you're going to be able to pay yourself 90 cents a mile as an owner operator. You're not going to be able to do it unless, like I said, your trailer's paid off, your truck's paid off, you don't have no problems. No, Storlord, I'm talking about average van for dry. Really, that's the average right now, is $2 a mile for a dry van. See, I thought it'd be lower than so flatbed's lower than dry van right now, or I'm just in a really shitty area all the time. Snorlord. Because if that's the case, I could easily. If I got a buddy right now, he's got a dry van trailer and a reefer trailer sitting. I could easily rent off of him probably for, I don't know, $1,000 a month, if that. To be honest, he might even have a flatbed, dude. Now thinking of that, I know he's been running aggregate. He's been doing a lot of dump trailers, so he's making like $140 an hour running dump trailer right now. So if I had the right truck and shit, I'd probably go try to finance a dump trailer and do that. I'll run a truck around for $140 an hour all day long. He hauls aggregate to blacktop blacktop manufacturer. And I guess they crush it and shit and turn it into blacktop. Yeah, I would have thought dry van. Let's see, a couple weeks ago when I looked at dry van rates, I was looking at what team reefer. They were team, was it team reefer? Yeah, I was looking at team reefer. Or was it team van rate? New Jersey to California for like $1.32 a mile for a team load. So I thought rates were worse than that for dry van. I figure dry van was sitting right around $1.50 to maybe like $1.80 a mile average. Let's see, TBT. We are still rookies, so don't mind working the company lanes and learning the business. When we have enough knowledge and enough courage to pull the trigger to jeopardize the savings, etc., we will go on our operator. Yeah, TBT. I mean, I wouldn't go on an operator right now, but you're definitely set up to save money. And with things going to, if things are actually that good over there, you could actually start out with a very good truck. Let's see, Store Lord. Yeah, long haul rates to Cali from Jersey are crap. Yep. Yeah. I don't know why anybody would want to do that. Like the amount of time to run from either California to Jersey or Jersey to California. Like, what? I don't see why somebody's doing that. Well, unless you're coming out of California with $4 or $5 a mile to the East Coast. That's the only thing I can think. But I don't see those. I don't see those. Maybe they're not making it on the spot market at all. So, let's see. TBT. I am in a 2023 Cascadia and loving it now. Well, I tell you what, if I had the money or wanted to take the risk, that's probably what I would buy, would be a Cascadia. I'd hate to say it. I despise Cascadias, to be honest with you. I mean, I drove a couple 2016s for a long time and stuff like that. I mean, they're roomy. They just get the job done. But I don't know, amenity wise and the look of them, I don't know, they never really appealed to me. The new ones look good. Like, I could put up with a new one. What I really want is one of those 49Xs, the Western Star, which is pretty much a Cascadia with a decent front end thrown on it. That I would be really happy with. But other than that, like, I think I would try to stay away from Cummins right now, because I've never really seen a Cummins get good fuel mileage no matter what the hell it's in. If I did heavy haul and shit all the time, or, not even flatbed, because hell, flatbed, you don't even need that much power to do. Hell, I got 262 gears and I'm able to haul flatbed around, and hell, maybe 425 horses in this thing it's set up for. But, it's a lot of the newer trucks are quiet inside. The seats are more comfy. The lighting's better. They ride better. Like this thing rides like a fucking stagecoach. But then again, like, my payment's $900 a month. So, I could have bought a newer truck. I could have had like a $2,000 payment. I was looking at a T680. But the problem was, like I said, most of the time you look at like a Kenworth and stuff, they all have pack cars in them now, and I don't want a pack car. I just had put a bad taste in my mouth. $5,000 for an EGR valve to me is kind of ridiculous. And the problem is with pack car, you only get it from the dealership. Like if you had a Cummins, you can get pretty much fucking anywhere. You could easy to find a freaking EGR valve or EGR cooler or anything. But like with a pack car, most of the shit, at least when I was a couple of 3 years ago, 2 years ago now, most of the shit was pack car only. You weren't just finding the aftermarket shit. TBT, I drove a 2023 Peterbilt 579 for 30 days. Not much different, to be honest. Yep. I was getting high eights in the 579 as well. Currently have a Detroit in the Cascadia. Well, that's all real. Cascadia is very rarely do you see a Cascadia anymore with a Cummins in it. The last Cascadia I drove had a Cummins in it, and I was owner operator on that, and it lasted. I think I had that truck like 60,000 miles, 80,000 miles, and the ceramic plungers went in it and ruined the motor. I got out of that, but I lost my down payment. The $25,000 down I put on the truck, I lost it. I got out of the loan though and everything. The dealership came, took the truck, probably put a used motor in it and put it back out in the lot. It was through MCH. Was that it? I think it was MCH Freightliner or something. But shit happens. I had it at the dealership. Dealership said the whole block and everything was trash. Just gotta buy a new one. They said because the shit's all through the motor. I was looking at like a $65,000 bill, and to be honest, I could have financed it. They were willing. I was willing. They were willing. The place they found, they were willing to finance me at $65,000. Plus, I would have had to be paying. What was the truck note? I think the truck note, I think I was paying $2,500 a month. And that would have been, I'd have been paying for that Cascadia. I'd have been paying with the finance for the motor and everything. I've been paying $4,200 a month for a 16 Cascadia. And I couldn't do it. It just did not seem that the truck value of a Cascadia and the new engine. It didn't work out in my head. So I just, told the dealership I can't do it, and talked with them, and they were able to get me out. It was financed through Freightliner, and they were able to get me out of it, without any credit problems. But still, I lost the down payment. And the payments I did make for it, I lost. But shit happens. So that's what I'm talking about with crap like that. Oh, I thought somebody else said something. So that's how that ended up with the that Cascadia I had. And then I got the pack car. That I got financed real cheap because, for some reason pack cars don't. No, once the Kenworth and shit don't have a pack car in it, they don't hold their value like they do if they have a Cummins in it. They just, I don't know, they don't ask as much for them. And then I had all that problems with that pack car. I was pretty much running. I was running to keep that truck running. That's what I ended up doing with that truck. It was good for the first 6 months. And then for about another year, I had nothing but problems with it. And then when the pandemic happened and truck prices flew through the roof, I got rid of it. I was able to, I got the loan down low enough that, I pretty much, it was a wash. I went down to the Kenworth dealership over here, Coopersburg, and said, here. And they were like, yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. I said, yep, please take it. I don't want nothing else to do with it. And I pretty much washed my hands of that. And that's how I ended up with this old girl, because I didn't want those problems again. Instead, I had a bunch of problems of lack of maintenance, I guess, or lack of, being taken care of. What do I want out of an old International, So, let's see. Oh, what's up, DIY? DIY's in the house. He's just seeing what's going on. I guess he's having a slow day of it, or he's done dispatching. Let's see. TBT, have you spoken to Schnorlord or DIY and picked their brain? They have quite knowledgeable in this area and experience maybe. Yeah, I did, and that's really TBT. That's why I ended up deciding to, lease on with this carrier here that has a direct that has Tyson for a direct customer. That's pretty much like right now. Like I said, I'm in the transition period. I'm waiting for uh, them to have their orientation come up next week, and I was hoping to make some money this week and then turn their trailer back into the company I'm leased to now. But it's I'm not gonna run all the way down to Florida, and you know I want to try to get to the Midwest and then do short runs and stay in the Midwest and then turn their trailer back in. I don't want to. I want to make sure I can get back for my my orientation. So that's really what I'm having to worry about now. Um, so that's why I'm kind of being picky with loads. Like I said, I could go up to the New England and make some decent money, but then I'd have to pretty much come back down to Pennsylvania with, I don't know, let's see, either really cheap, like probably $400 or $500 lumber load, or a $400 or $500 flagstone or whatnot out of Massachusetts or Connecticut or whatever. Um, I mean, so I could do that. It's just, I don't know. You go up there and then you have to fight with everybody because everybody else is heading up there too because rates are paying. They're not paying great. They're not paying New England rates. Normal New England rates, you're looking at like high threes, practically $4 a mile. New England rates now, you're looking at high twos, maybe $3 a mile. So now when you take that next load that pays 95 cents or whatever, sure, it evens out as a $2 mile up, $2 mile out, or back or whatever. Which I guess is better than nothing. So it's just that you got all the extra costs, the tolls and stuff up there. And fuel on the East Coast is just expensive. So oh wow, DIY is driving. Jeez. Hopefully you don't get no more of those potato loads that screw you over. Well, DIY, I guess everybody wants to know how's it going. If you're making out really good driving around. TBT, well, since Adam is here, let's just blame it on him. DIY, did you catch my last short on my channel? That's TBT's asking that. DIY, did you check out his last short? Let's see. Store Lord just got a text. I guess TQL is laying off as well as CH Robinson. Yeah, you know what? I heard that too. I didn't know if that was true, Snorlord, but I guess it probably is. There's probably just not enough capacity because you can only give so many loads to so many brokers to put out the door. They probably are over capacity too. All this, I know that, like I said, a lot of veterans are watching, but all this shit is we're all interlinked between the brokers and stuff. They're having the same problems we're having. They got shitty overseas brokerages and stuff, and we got shitty overseas carriers. And there's when we look at this, I think everyone's looking for some kind of government intervention, like either with rates or whatnot. I think if anything, we should probably try to enforce the laws that are on the books now, to get rid of a lot of the scam brokers and the scam carriers and stuff. They're the ones really diluting the market on either side, and it all trickles down. We're usually the bottom of the pyramid there, and it's you're gonna have guys that are gonna brokers and stuff that want to make money and stuff, but I would think it's more the illegal brokerages and the carriers that are running illegal. I think they're the ones that are probably hurting us more than guys that are trying to scam, like not scam, but man, what do you want to call it? I guess be hard on the rate, because like, look, if a broker's being a dickhead on the rate, you just skip on to the next brokerage. You just don't use them. It's that simple. The problem is right now it's everybody has a shit rate. It's not just one broker or whatnot. Like you go back a year ago, if you called up on a load and it was paying, the guy was paying piss poor rates, you just moved on to the next brokerage or the next guy. Um, and that's just not happening right now. Like I said, I think a lot of it is, we have too much problems with shit brokerages overseas, scammy ones. They affect everything, and they bring down the bottom line of brokerages too. The same thing with carriers too. Shitty carriers, fake carriers are not running with numbers, are doing shady shit. They take down our numbers, and they'll run anything because they can run cheaper than us. And when brokerages use them, or they're able to get through with it, they bring down the rates because the broker's like, well, you know, the same carrier is taking this rate now for $1.40 a mile. It was paying $2.40 a mile. Shit, that's a whole dollar I could put in my pocket, or even split in half, save the customer 50 cents and put another 50 cents in my pocket. The customer's happy because the freaking brokerage is saving them money, so they're going to stick with that brokerage. And the broker's happy because he's putting another 50 cents in his pocket, on each mile or whatever. Uh, so it goes both ways. Let's see, what's DIY doing? DIY is he's behind on his YouTube. Well, you've been working, I don't know how things are going over at your carrier there, but I'm sure you've had guys that either can't figure it out or don't work like the way you'd like them to work, and probably maybe left. I don't know. I'm not surmising anything. I just can tell by how the fucking my carrier here, they had nothing in the parking lot, and now they got trucks all over the place. There's guys turning their trucks in left and right. So that's the only reason why I think maybe you're working. I'm just making assumptions. I'm not trying to say, nothing's bad, but I'm just, hey, work comes before YouTube. So, let's see, TBT, cut that out. Common sense doesn't work in the government. Yeah, common sense does not work in the government. That is shit for shit sure. Yeah, if common sense worked in the government, instead of fucking putting regulation on us, on actual experienced drivers and stuff, why don't they change the training? Actually put experienced drivers on the road in the first place. And then guys that just don't have it and can't take the test and can't pass or can't understand English and shit, don't let them on the road. The more you flood the market with drivers, the less valuable a driver becomes, or an owner operator. It's just like money. The more the more you print out the money, the less valuable it becomes. It's the same thing, and that's why I think this whole driver shortage shit that they've been playing off for years and years and years was trying to keep it so they could find another driver all the time. They piss off a driver because they won't pay him more than 45 cents a mile or 50 cents a mile. There's another one to walk in the door. He'll put up with it for a while, and you just keep doing that, keep going, and just keep feeding the machine. And what I think's happening now is, I think people are catching on to that. DIY is very, very, very busy. Well, that's good. At least somebody's making money. Let's see. TBT, DIY, dedicated my last short to you. So TBT is making a shrine to you, DIY. Let's see. Old school, new school. I told if TQL is laying off, that means my local taxes will be paying more unemployment. Yep, probably. TBT, that's why our taxes are for OSNS. Ask my Democrat. They will tell you that. TBT, old school, new school said, TBT, true, but I'm tired of paying for that when mental health needs more for some treatment and therapy. The way I see it, fucking paying taxes help. That money you guys are talking about is probably sitting over Ukraine anyway right now, so it don't fucking matter. It wouldn't surprise me if somehow that $2 billion of the freaking lottery, went over to him somehow. TBT, did you guys not hear the Freight Wave live show yesterday about the driver shortage and the government's view? It was priceless. Load of crap, bigger than bull hauler trailers floors. Well, you know why the government doesn't care? Because to them, that's just more tax revenue coming in. Uh, I would like to say, I don't know. It depends. I know I don't like when I do my had the one person do my taxes. Uh, let's see. There for a while, I would net like $100 and some $1,000, and I would pay only $10,000 in taxes because I they the tax person that I was using, which unfortunately is dead, knew trucking and was able to get me every deduction I could. My pickup truck, since I have to drive to this yard and stuff, it became a tax write-off for mileage and stuff. I also registered in my LLC and everything. So this pickup truck, is technically a part of my business. Home office, my laptop, my let's see, the subscription I pay for printer ink and all that stuff. It's all written off, all that stuff. So the government technically is only getting 10 grand. Well, if I was an employer, and let's say I was making $2,000 a week as an employer, what would I be paying between Medicare and tax right now? Probably $500 a week, I would imagine, somewhere around there, $400 to $500 between Medicare and taxes, let alone local taxes too. And then what? My employer's paying 12% on top of that. If you think about it, the government probably, as a whole, probably makes more money off of employees' tax revenue than per se dollar per dollar from larger corporations. When you look at it, sure, it might be a huge number, but if you're paying let's say $120 million in taxes, and you're freaking George Soros, well, not George Soros, I forget the name of the Amazon guy, but if you're Amazon and you're paying like $120 million in taxes, it's fucking nothing. It's a big number. So dollar for dollar, I would think the government gets more of their tax revenue out of employees than they do technically, knowledgeable companies that are able to write off their taxes and stuff. Oh, let's see. TBT, too long to type the bull they're spewing on there. The government thinks are the issues with trucking. Between rates, pay, fuel costs was not any of the issues for the driver shortage and why people are leaving the industry. TQO's, let's see, this is old school, new school. TQO's corporate office and largest building in 4 miles from my home, and 3 more buildings within 10 miles of it. TBT USA, they said they need to focus on getting more parking is going to get more younger drivers to join. Well, just that. The younger drivers, they're gonna what? Not. I've heard some fucking bullshit that some of these states are talking about maybe letting 16-year-olds run interstate CDL. I guess either mess around with the regulation for insurance companies to make it easier for them to run, or something like that. It's just shitty. The pay's shitty. The hours are shit. If you have a family, it's not what it's all cracked up to be, unless you're in a certain area or you have a certain customer, or just things all, if things all come together. Yes, you can have a family, be an over-the-road driver or owner-operator, and still not, abandon them. Especially if you have family at home that are close-knit too. I don't. Most of my family has died or moved away from each other. And, when I leave, it's pretty much my wife is taking the closest family is like 2 hours away. So she takes on the fort all by herself. There is nobody to help watch the kids. There is nobody to help clean up. There is nobody to do anything, So if I'm gone, that's it. Um, and you get more younger people in there. You can lock them into trucking. If you could like an 18-year-old in before he knocks up somebody or has a real relationship into trucking, and turn into one of those simps or well, I forget what they call them, but guys that aren't worried about having a relationship and stuff. If you can just get them into being basically an over-the-road work slave for you, there you go. You got your truck driver for life, and as long as you pay him a decent amount, and he's living in a truck, has his PlayStation and shit, and hey, fuck, he won't care. He won't go anywhere. He'll just keep driving as long as nothing happens. Hell, to be honest, if I was young and I was able to get my CDL before my ex-wife and shit, all that crap, my high school supposed sweetheart, that's what I would have done. Hell, I thought about getting a camper when I was a technician. I was gonna just live in a freaking camper. I was tired of paying rent and shit. Tired of living by myself. I was just gonna get a camper. I was gonna park it right on the dealership. Just live in a freaking camper and fucking hoard my money. Maybe go out and drink and shit and have fun once in a while. Trucking, if you're young and you're able to make the money, that trucking, hell, you don't need no house. You can live in the freaking truck. And hell, that's exactly what a carrier would want. Carrier would be happy as hell to have that. Why not? Pay you what, 45, 50 cents a mile, 60 cents a mile, and have you never have to go home. What are they getting? What are they getting out of you running for 60 cents a mile? $3 a mile, $4 a mile? Depends. I don't know. I mean, not now, but yeah, I guess free labor, or at least cheap labor, because I think the reason the government's more worried about is worried about the driver shortages. They're worried that I think right now what they're trying to do, the Biden administration, is I think if they can get the driver, get a huge amount of drivers and cut the rates down, and they can keep the rates low, they can shrink inflation because these manufacturers will be able to cut costs a little bit, and it'll look good on paper, but in real life, we'll be the ones getting screwed over. The normal public out there will see that inflation has either slowed down or stopped. But all that really is, they're just cheapening up cost in the operation. That's all. I think that's really what this is right now. I think they're trying to find a way to slow down or shrink inflation. And I would say if you can knock the cost of goods, being transported way down to almost nothing, compared to way costs were, you could at least on paper, when you go out there and you do those freaking interviews and those addresses, you can say, hey, look, I shrank inflation. You fucked over a whole industry though, by doing that. Let's see. TBT, that can't. They can't do that. Minors cross state lines for work. Wow, I see a lot of liability there. Well, they'll just sweep it under the rug, just like they do everything else, TBT. Just whatever they can do to benefit them, or hell, I'm sure the ATA will be all for it. I can't imagine what they're going to pay a minor to drive a truck around. You know what? Old school, I wouldn't trust some of these people as far as I could throw an aircraft carrier. Well, you can't trust the people out here now. Even the 30 or 40-year-old veterans that are out here now. Like, well, usually if you come upon some of these older guys, I mean, there's still some of them that are really good, but I've noticed some of these older veteran drivers out here. The reason they're out here is because they're fucking whack jobs, and they weren't able to save or do anything, and they're just stuck living in the truck, living that nomad lifestyle. I mean, they have good information because they've done this long enough, but they're just, something's wrong with them. Most of the other guys that have been in this long enough, they either started their own carrier or saved up the money and started a different business out of it, either invested in real estate or did something and have gotten out of it completely. They're not really technically driving a truck except for when they have to. Um, Now for the I would say the steering wheel holder. I would say what do you ever remember hearing before like the 2000s? Ever hear the name steering wheel holder? There were no truck drivers called steering wheel holders. There are now. All these mega carrier driving courses and stuff. It's what caused all this, and now they're doubling down on it, in my opinion. In the name of cheap labor, I'm guessing. Uh, it's not a driver shortage. It's driver pay and driver respect, I would say, is what's causing it. And to gain driver pay and driver respect, the whole industry has to see a uptick. Uh, and like I said, right now, in my opinion, the Biden administration is trying to lower. I bet they're trying to artificially lower rates, um, just to make it look like inflation isn't, going sky high. If you can lower the cost of transporting goods and still keep prices low and still keep the manufacturers happy and everything else, when you come out and do your State of the Union speech or whatever bullshit that you want to fucking throw out there, you can be like, oh, inflation has stopped or slowed or, maybe diminished or whatever. Nobody, you're just screwing an industry full of 5 million people. That's all. Normal everyday public. The normal everyday public, sad to say, are these people that work for Twitter that go into work at 10 o'clock, fucking have their $12 Starbucks coffee, have their freaking yoga class inside of their, I mean, if you go on YouTube, you just look up life in the day of a Twitter employee, and that's their voter base. That's who they're going after. That's who they care about. They don't care about regular Joe Schmo. They don't care. Obviously, they don't care about small businesses. Like I said, in fact, I think they want to get rid of small businesses because they want the tax revenue. I think because they know they can't backtrack on the tax laws and the loopholes, so they're just gonna that AB 5 or whatever. I think that's how they're gonna get around that. Um, they want that extra tax revenue. When you're an employee, what the hell can you take off? Your house, your kids, the same. That's it. And then they still get their 12% from the employer because the employee has to pay 12% of the taxes. So I don't know. That's just my theory, up in my head. I don't know. Maybe I'm a TrueAnon conspiracy person. I don't know. But that's what I think's happening with that shit. Let's see. Old school, new school. True. I only trust a few people. Yep. Steering wheel holder. TBT. Yep. Let's see. Old school, new school. It all depends on what defines a steering wheel holder. Just because one drives an auto does not mean anything. No, that's true. When I hear steering wheel holder, I imagine a steering wheel holder with his legs up, a tablet in front of his windshield, getting out in sweatpants and flip flops. Has never checked the fucking, picked up a flatbed load and hasn't checked it once since he, got on the road with it. They'll get a reefer load or something. They won't even bother pulling out the freaking straps or load locks. They'll just freaking go. They don't know how to slide their tandems. They have no comprehension of that. You watch them try to back up, and it almost doesn't. They almost don't even use. Like I've watched them, they don't even use their mirrors. They're like looking at the wrong. They're looking in their. They're backing up to their. They're backing up, from a spot to their left. To their right, and they're using their driver mirror when they should be looking over in their freaking right mirror. Just dumb stuff that you see. They don't check their fifth wheel. They don't. I had a guy I went to hire the one time. He lasted a whole what, half hour, because I told him to go put the glad hands on the trailer or take them off, and he had no fucking idea what a glad hand was. Uh, just shit like that. Um, Guys that can just hold a steering wheel, they don't know what to do when things go wrong, or they don't know how to chain. They don't know how to slide the axles. They never even opened the hood up. I watch them every day. You sit at a truck stop. You see, how many guys do you ever see open a hood up? Ever. I mean, I'll be honest, sometimes I don't open the freaking hood up, but I know my truck. But shit, when I was a company driver and stuff, especially when I knew I had oil leaks and stuff in the company truck, I'd check the freaking oil either at the fuel state, every fuel stop, or like I said, during my pre-trip. I'd at least go around with a flashlight and look underneath the damn thing. Okay, airbags are inflated. Doesn't look like the freaking U-bolts are loose. Stupid shit. I wouldn't fucking go under there and check every goddamn thing, but at least I would make an attempt to make sure the tires aren't flat and stuff. You don't see none of that anymore. Um, Hell, half the time, these guys are so bad with, I don't know if they stop a million times or what, but they're like fighting the clock all the time. They don't want to, they run their clock out, and then at whatever the closest truck stop they're at, that's where they go. They don't have no trip planning abilities. They don't know how to split sleeper berth. They just don't know how to. And I mean, some of that's the company's fault too, but they're just putting them out on the road. You know. Let's see, the one engine brake video I did. I can't believe how many people commented on it. Were like, oh, I never knew, they don't even know how to use a fucking engine brake or what stab braking is and that stuff. They just don't know. That's a steering wheel holder, in my opinion. And to me, that's, you want your family next to people like that? I don't. I know they're out there, though. Let's see. TBT. Okay, that's not me. Well, yeah, I wouldn't think it would be any of you guys. Let's see. Old school, new school. I started in 2005. A steering wheel holder did whatever he was told. Couldn't use an atlas, among some things you mentioned. You know what? I've there in the beginning. This is when I started. Well, when I started it was 2013. Garmin improved. I know if you're talking about '05, I remember doing flatbed and using Garmin through Philadelphia and stuff. So I know what you're talking about. Pretty much yours, an Atlas was your best friend. But I ended up using an Atlas a little bit. And to get around today with an Atlas, just the amount of roads and stuff, I don't, it could maybe help you out with a few, but you could not use just a plain old Atlas now for everything. You could not, if you had the knowledge and you've been doing this for a while and you knew where things were, sure, you could use an Atlas. But if you're a new guy and you just tried to use an Atlas, especially if you knew how to read a map and stuff, because I did it, you could get kind of where you had to go, like kind of near the shipper or receiver and stuff, but to actually find the actual receiver on the side road that they made or thing, unless you're like calling your dispatcher nonstop, you're not going to be able to do it. And to be honest, how many times the dispatcher going to put up with you calling every 5 minutes to get directions off the customer or vice versa, or to call the customer? I would say as long as you're intelligent, a GPS is probably one of your best tools. Like hell, I don't know how guys do it now. For God's sakes, you got Street View. If you're going into Chicago or something and there's train trestles around, you can go right down on Street View and see what the fuck the actual exact height of the bridge, and see what's nearby, see what streets you can turn off of, and go down those streets and see if they narrow or anything. And guys still screw up. They still end up on gravel roads in the middle of nowhere, over bridges that are made for like 10 tons. That's a steering wheel holder. That's just an idiot. That's somebody that just drives, holds the steering wheel and goes. And there's a lot of them out there. I don't know. I still technically use stab braking. I mean, you don't technically you don't have to use it on if you have an engine brake, but if I'm on like a really long descent and I actually have to use my brakes, I usually, instead of going about a quarter of a mile, riding the brakes, I'll freaking stab brake them a little bit and drop the mileage down with the engine brake. Uh, way I see it, better sorry than better off doing that than being sorry, I guess. It's just, I don't know. In my opinion, it still cools the brakes. The you know the cooler the brakes, the better. It's really what happens is when the pads get hot enough, it causes gas and off gases, and you're trying to compress the gas between the drum and the brake pad. The cooler you can keep that, and the less gases you can keep on it, the more stopping power you have. So I don't know. It's just, I guess, a matter of opinion. I mean, I still do it. Not like crazy, like if I didn't have an engine brake, but I still technically stab brake. Like I'll let the speed raise up 10, 15 mile an hour with the engine brake, and then I'll stab the brakes real hard, bring it down, let the engine brake carry the truck down another mile or two, and then same thing. So I don't know. That's just the way I was taught and the way I always seen it done. So I guess that's what I do. I don't know. Yo, what's up, Sterling? Yep, drums expand with the heat and bad things get worse. To be honest, I'm actually surprised. Um, I would think by now every truck should have rotors on it. Every truck and trailer. I've watched a few videos and I've even driven a few trucks with disc brakes, and in my opinion, that there's probably a good 30, you could easily have a good 30, 40, maybe 80 feet more stopping power, shorter than with a drum. I think all trucks should have disc brakes now. Also, you don't have to worry about DOT measuring your goddamn slack and all that crap. So in my opinion, if I had the money and I was open, buying trucks for a fleet, everything would be disc brakes. The fucking trailers, the tractor. You don't have to worry about DOT sniffing around down there so much. They just fucking look up, disc brakes, airbag's good, no bolts loose. See ya. They're not freaking measuring shit and everything, and then looking around. They don't have all that. They look, disc brakes. They look, see pads is good, and they go. That's it. So in my opinion, I think everything should have disc brakes. You think the government would kind of jump in and, if it was really about safety, maybe make disc brakes? It's been what? How many years have we had disc brakes now? 15 years now, easily. You think they would jump in and start, making disc brakes an actual safety issue? So that's the same thing with that. Are they really give a shit about safety? Not in my opinion, no. Or they just don't know any better, probably. Hell, they got Pete Buttigieg or whatever the fuck his name is. He's the one running it, so fuck that guy. Fucking, he ended up having some Chinese spy in he was doing something with her. I don't know. So, let's see. Sterling says manufacturing costs. Although don't disc brakes have less? I would think disc brakes have less moving parts, though. So I would figure that would somehow kind of equal it out a little bit. I know there's probably more steel involved. I never really weighed a disc brake for a semi truck and weighed a drum. So, let's see. Drums are cheapo. Yeah, they are cheapo. When I spec'd my step deck, it was an additional $12,000. Yeah, but the way I see it, though, to pay $12,000 for what? How long you probably have that trailer? For have $12,000, let's say $12,000, and you have the trailer for at least 6 years. That ain't really that bad. For the extra stopping power and maintenance, and then also, like I said, you don't have the DOT isn't really, they're not checking your length, your rod length, and all that bullshit. I would think it would be worth it in the long run, long term cost, in my opinion. I think disc brakes, it might even save you from getting in an accident. Um, Also, now coming to think about it, when I any truck I ever had that had disc brakes, I never had a brake canister go bad. I mean, I never had a disc brake leak on me, anything. I mean, I guess they can, but I never had it. I've had tons of times where I've had canisters go bad, or chambers. I mean, so that I guess that's another thing too. And and I would imagine when I had disc brakes, I don't, you don't have you don't have the canisters hanging down underneath the truck that far. Um, the lines are usually up off, they're away from the road. You don't have to worry about nicks and stuff. I guess technically in the long run, in my opinion, it's probably worth it. Uh, yeah, and it saves weight too. Yeah, really, you had a bunch of billows popped. Yeah, see, I never once had an issue with disc brakes. Nothing. I think the only thing I ever had is I think the one Peterbilt I had. I think the rotors, the rotors were warped. So when I hit the brakes, you could feel it in the steering wheel. But they weren't even that bad, and I never. That was a company truck, and I told them a million times. I don't know if they ever got them cut or what they did. Um, but I never had a problem with air leaks with disc brakes. But I guess I never really looked at them either, though. I never stared at them. I mean, I guess you could. I don't know if you change the bills out. I guess you have to take that all apart. It's probably road service call, I'd imagine. He ain't probably doing that underneath the truck. But it's just my opinion, I guess. What I was putting out there. Maybe it looks like Sterling. If you get this brakes, looks like you can still have billows popping stuff on them. Um, and I guess they self-adjust. I never heard anybody adjusting disc brakes, so I guess they must adjust themselves. Um, but that's kind of the point I was making with DOT. You don't have to worry about that extra crap. Uh, we don't like them on Donner because they hold dirt. Hold dirt. You mean um, the actual fins and the rotors hold dirt, or the discs? I guess they get dirt inside them, and what I probably okay. Well, yeah, it'll get into the actual get in the actual pads, and it'll freaking dig into the jam the rotors up. Um, yeah, I could see that because I know a few of the rotors I had on some of the trucks, they had marks and shit in them, but we never really fucking paid attention to that. I mean, I guess once it gets deep enough, it'll wear the rotor out faster. And then shit on the road can get in them, fucking nuts, bolts, fling up in them and shit. But I don't know, for the stopping power and just not having the DOT hash you for travel, chamber travel and all that shit. I don't know. I guess it's worth it in my opinion. It all depends. But to see trucks stop like freaking 80 feet shorter with full loads doing 70 mile an hour and stuff multiple times, um, there's a big safety advantage to that. Um, and I would say to have half the truck still running drum and half the truck running disc. If the truck in front of you is running disc and it can stop like fucking 100 feet less than you can, you better be leaving more than a couple 100 feet in front of you, because you're going to slam in the back of that truck because he's going to stop quicker than you no matter what. So I would say safety wise, I don't know. I figured it should be all standardized now with stuff like that. Actually have trained drivers and, you know, require safety equipment. Like, look at like ABS. For a while, we didn't have ABS until what, the late 90s. Hell, trailer don't have ABS shit, especially when it's raining or freaking snowing. That damn trailer's going everywhere. Oh, let's see. Sterling said, rotors explode if heated and run through the puddle. Seeing that a couple of times. I think the disc brakes on the trucks are better than the trailers ones. Yeah, I would hope so. Well, the trailer ones, they're probably making them as cheap as they possibly can too. So there's a big difference there. I never seen, I guess I've done a lot of car stuff as a mechanic. I never really seen the rotors explode on a truck. I've seen them crack on cars, but that's usually like you're talking about under a lot of stress. Kids doing fucking rally racing and Subarus and shit, running shit pads. That there's I guess if you have a driver that freaking drives on it, uses 2 feet, drives an automatic and uses 2 feet, and rides his brakes, I'm sure that's probably great for him. But yeah, it all depends. It all depends. I guess it's owner preference what they decide to put on their car. Or, I mean, on their truck. Uh, but I would think if the government was really worried about safety, they would get involved in on shit like that. Not the bullshit that they are. Look at all the exemptions they're giving out to UPS and stuff. Um, it's I would say about out of every new law that gets passed or regulation, it somehow always ends up benefiting a mega carrier per se. Let me do something real quick. Battery should be charged up now in the damn truck. Uh, yeah, it always ends up benefiting a mega carrier. My opinion, they have the lobbying groups and they they lobby supposedly for safety. I think it's more to cut out competition, and that's what I said. When that AB fiber goes through and stuff, I think a lot of these mega carriers are going to be fine. I don't think they're going to have problems. They'll get grandfathered in, or they'll be able to have um, some kind of immunity from it. And I think what they're trying to from what I've heard, people have said that there's lobbying groups that work for the ATA and stuff that have actually been lobbying for was it ABR 5 or whatever that law is, and that it cuts down on competition. Um, there's just no ways about it. Like I said, I think we're going to be going through a lot of changes here in trucking, just in general, either business wise and equipment wise in the next few years. Uh, let's see here. Sterling said the 579 I'm driving has disc on the front. I like it. Yep, constant braking. Cost before safety. Everything you see around you is built by the cheapest bidder. Yeah, usually it is. I mean, I wouldn't say everything. Um, like put it this way. This Rittenhauer trailer, this Rittenhauer flatbed. I've pulled all kinds of different flatbeds. Transcraft. Who the heck's the other one? Great Dane, and all of them. Like this Rittenhauer, you can tell like by the welds and the way they set it. Just you can tell that there's quality built into it. Um, and the problem is there's not, you pay for it though. When you buy a Rittenhauer, you pay for it. But there's other trailers like I had a Benson. You pay pretty good money for a Benson too. That try to they put out the marketing that they throw that marketing out there that they're the best and all that stuff. But then you look at their welds, whoever they have welding for them and stuff, and it's like hideous. They you just know you're gonna have problems with that trailer, but they're charging you for it. And then, like I said, you have like Transcraft and stuff where you're just buying you're buying like run of the mill, whoever's the cheapest bidder bullshit. Um, but the problem is though, even like between I would say all the big manufacturers right now, I would say what really fucked up quality right now is the pandemic. No matter who you go through or who you go with, um, they were just randomly hiring people and showing them real quick on how to get this shit out the door. I think the pandemic, because even the Rittenhauer trailers, they just bought brand spanking new trailers, and I looked at them, the welds on this trailer that's 3 years old or 2 years old, compared to the Rittenhauer trailers that came out during the pandemic, and you can see the quality of welds diminish, and you could tell that they were pushing them, and trying to get out as fast as they can. You can see back where they went back and tried to fix stuff and things like that. So to be honest, if I really won't want to buy almost anything new in the last 2 years easily. That goes for trucks or anything else like that. Hell, I've went through 3 starters already. Um, the last starter I just bought was from Cummins, and it was like freaking $1,200 for a starter or something, or after tax and everything. No, it wasn't $1,200. That was including the wire, but it was like $900 for a starter. Um, and the first one, the one I put up there, the first one, what happened was they never tightened the bolt that goes to the solenoid. I mean, it was tight, but it loosened up while I was on the truck, and it arced out the threads, and I couldn't really fix it. So that was that one. The second one, something internally started to short. So now the third one, I just went right to Cummins and paid for it. I was tired of paying $500 for a starter and having to get under there and get dirty and everything. So I got one right from Cummins. It's probably, who knows, it's, whatever their vendor is for it. How I might have problems with this one too. But like I said, anything that's been made, especially foreign, in the last couple years, has all been done fast and just, without a care in the world, I guess. Just trying to get that out the freaking door. Oh, what's up, Cash? I got your hoodie. It's sitting at the house right now in the bag. Hasn't really been cold, so now it's like freaking 70 degrees right now here with the sun, so I haven't really got a chance to wear it. It smells. I know one thing. When I did rip open the bag and see what was in it, it freaking smells like fucking rotten eggs. So, so wherever it came from, it fucking stinks. So it's airing out right now. Let's see. Sterling, he says, I love my utility combo step. Let's see. Sterling said the pandemic turned all the manufacturing into Friday shifts at the plant. Yep, Friday or Monday. And you know what? For utility combo, as long as you keep the rust for the utility trailers, what's nice about utility trailers is they're fairly cheap. They'll put up with a lot of new drivers. You can't they're that are well, you can get an aluminum trailer like a Rittenhauer or a Benson or whatever, and you start having them take a spread axle and drag it across the blacktop and shit. You start cracking shit, breaking stuff. Utility, you're not going to have that. They're very simple, and they're usually easy to repair. As long as you keep the rust away, especially from the plate, keep the rust away from the plate and the rust away from the rear axles. Where they bolt up to the frame of the flatbed. You can keep a utility for a long time. Now, if you care, I've seen how fucking I had 12,000-pound telehandlers on the one utility I had, and you could see it bowed, the trailer bowing where the 12,000-pound telehandlers were. You had all that weight just sitting on those tiny wheels, but hey, it's aluminum. What do you want? It doesn't really bother me too much. Cost wise and repair wise, and not having to worry about drivers rip the front axle off. Utility's the way to go if you have, in my opinion, company drivers. A combo. If you're able to get owner operators and guys that know what the hell they're doing and shit, like I got a 53. What is this? It's a Rittenhauer 53 foot, um, all aluminum, but it's got a California spread on it. I didn't think I was gonna like it. It fucking sucks to park in a lot of the truck stops at night, but the California spread on it, I haven't had any problems really getting around. Like having to swing super wide or anything, and it's gotten me a lot of LTL partial loads. It's made me good money. And so if I could, I would have all 53-foot spread axle, probably California spreads on them. If I could, with a lift axle, I would really like to have a lift axle, but I ain't my trailer, so I didn't buy it for 50 or 60 grand. Let's see. See, Sterling said it was a bit heavy, but I was waiting 15. I was wanting 15-year life. I think he's talking about. I think he was talking about the beam. I think the warranty for the beam. To be honest though, that what really fucks those flatbeds up, especially the combos. Nobody wants to take care of them. If you took a combo trailer and you ran it for 10 years and you just had paid the $3 grand to have the thing stripped down and repaint it, and just check it for cracks and stuff every once in a while, you could easily keep a combo trailer for a long time, easily. Um, you know, Same thing too about when I had a flatbed, even though it wasn't mine, like this one, I don't think there's any holes in it. But I used to sometimes I'd take the garden hose and shit, and I'd pour forget the name of the chemical, but it deactivates salt. You put the chemical in there and you spray the hose in it, and it drips out all the holes. You get all that salt and stuff, the brine that's gone up in there behind the fifth wheel plate, and you get all that out of there, and then you go down in there and you spray. You get a can of what the hell is it? Trying to think of the name of this stuff. It's like wax. It comes on you get a long plastic tube in the cam, and you spray it all in there. It's like an oily wax, something film, fluid film, I think it's called. And you spray that all down inside there, and guess what? That fifth wheel plate, as long as you keep it clean and stuff, it'll last you a fucking long time. But nobody takes care of that. Nobody washes out inside their fifth wheel plate. Nobody applies that fluid film. They just run the trailers and then they get rid of them after 5 years and sell them to some other carrier that just runs the trailers, doesn't do anything with it, doesn't sandblast them, repaint them, doesn't put the fluid film and clean out the fifth wheel. It's just care. It's little things. Little things. Just if you had somebody just on the weekends that would just show up and do that once a year or something, you'd be able to keep a fucking combo flatbed for a long time. And paid off equipment, in my opinion, saves you money, because what's going to change with a flatbed? You might get a crack here or there, have a decent welder weld it up and patch it, paint it. There you go, good to go. Longevity. Yep. Hey, off. Yep. Sterling's off the bed. He's going to go to bed, I guess. I guess he's working. Well, he's working nights, I guess. Probably doing feeder driving position. Causaline. Yeah, causaline. Well, nah, it's not causaline. It's just called fluid film. Causaline's the stuff they pack guns and ammunition and stuff in. I guess it's kind of like the same stuff, but it's like a waxy based oil. It's. I guess it's the same shit. Let's see. I've been here almost 2.5. Well, it's going to go on 2 hours and 15 minutes here pretty soon. So I don't know. We got 8 people in here. So anybody else got any comments or things they'd like to talk about? I mean, I think I'm pretty much done bitching. So let's see. I don't think anybody else said anything. Well, let's see. Old school, new school. Oh, he said, Starving the brakes, you keep pressure on the pedal until the wheels lock up. Stabbing is when you slow the truck without locking the wheels up. Well, I guess that's what I do. I slow the truck down without when I use like the engine brake and I'm going down a really bad grade. I'll put the truck in. I don't know, like we'll say eighth, maybe seventh, depending on how bad it is and how slow I'm going. And when the RPMs get up real too high, or I start climbing up around 45 or mile an hour, or maybe even the speed limit like 55 or something. Now I'll stab the brakes back down to, I don't know, usually 15 to 20 mile an hour under whatever I'm going, and then just let the engine brake carry it on again for a while. Um, a mile or half mile or whatever, and then just keep doing the same thing. That's usually how I do it. So I always was called, from what I was taught, it was always called stab braking. Um, you try to let the drums cool in that period of time that the engine brake's still keeping you, not speeding up that fast, like, staying slow. So, uh, let's see who else is on here. Well, looks like most of these guys are back now. Uh, Looks like utility poles are still doing good. So that's snub braking, not stab braking. Oh, okay. I guess I always was, when I learned it, I was always told it was called stab braking, because you're stabbing the brakes until you lower the speed down real quick, and then letting off and letting them cool for a while with the engine brake. So I guess that's what. I guess I learned something new. So for 13 years, I've been calling it something wrong. um, let's see here. Nope. I thought Sterling said something else again, but no, that's his last comment. I guess Sterling went to bed. So other than that, yeah, market's great. I'm making tons of money. Things are good. Man, I don't know. Uh, Best thing I could suggest is get on a carrier with dedicated freight. Stay with that. Call up DIY. I'm sure he's got some stuff. Uh, I know he said he had some, anybody watching this, you end up coming on later or watching this later on, even though I'm freaking, what, I'm at like 2.5 hours here almost. Um, Basically, he's got some, I think he's some dedicated freight up there in Minnesota. Uh, Other than that, that's it. I really got nothing else to bitch about. I pretty much vented. I can't think of much else to talk about. Uh, it's one of those shitty days. So, let me see here if I can do something real quick. Check my emails while I'm still looking at this. Let's see. I got it. Yeah, nope, that broker, nope. So this one broker, it was going to, where did I? So I was going Manaway City to, it's Cole. I was going Manaway City to Fayette. What is that? Was that Minnesota? He didn't put the thing. Let me go back to the last email I sent him. Okay, so it was going to Fayette, Michigan. It was Cole. He wanted me to give him offer, so I gave him offer at $2.70 a mile. And he came back finally after fucking like 4 hours or 5 hours now that I emailed him. He came back and he says, "Can I do it for $2 a mile?" So what's that? Let's see. I quoted him $18.50 to go 680 miles, and he wants to do it for $2 a mile. So that is $1,200. He wants me to go 680 miles for $1,200. Yeah, I don't think so. That's like 48,000 pounds worth of coal too. There's a couple. I don't even want to even open the emails up. All right, yeah, I don't even want to open the emails up. It's just gonna make me fucking agitated right now. It's funny that because I've been looking to see if my little email thing popped up, and it finally popped up. So I got, looks like in the last like, so it's taken between 2 and 4 hours between brokers that email me back, even emailing them. And how many times are you gonna email them back? Hey, you get a confirmation yet on whether or not it's a good rate or blah blah blah? What do you want to do? Fucking email them 20 times, desperate, looking for a load. Now, what they're doing is they're just taking emails and they're going down the emails and find whoever offers the cheapest rate. Apparently, everyone offered probably around $2,000 to $1,800. So I guess I was probably the one of the cheaper ones. So he's trying to figure he could probably try to Jew me down more. I don't know. Shit. Yeah, it's kind of aggravating. I mean, I kind of got to get out of here, though. I can't sit here fucking all week. I don't tell you I can. Like, I'm almost about ready just to freaking deadhead out to Pittsburgh, pick something up, going to Illinois, and say, here's your trailer back. I'm going to be starting a new job and not even worry about making any money for the next week. Because you start running around. Well, I still got to pay for fuel, though, to go out there. That's the only thing. I at least pay for some fuel and, try to make some kind of money. So, life an owner operator. Fucking depressing. Well, can be, I guess. Let's see. Old school, new school said I learned from some really learned from some really old drivers when I started. Yeah, the driver I learned from when I started out for Prime, and the driver I learned from was where was he out of? He lived Joplin. He was out of Joplin, Missouri. Cowboy, pretty much. And he was driving for a good like 20 or 30 years. That's where I ended up learning to drive from. Now he is the guy that actually trained me when I went over to flatbed. The guy before that, he was driving for, the guy was a Mexican. They had to put me with a reefer because that's the only guy they had available right now. So I ended up going out with him, and he was driving for like 5 years. And I guess he was okay. He was able to teach me to back. He just, he was just a pain in the ass, really. The biggest thing I hate is he tried running us like a team. He would sleep and shit, and so I would just be driving because once he figured out that I kind of knew what I was doing, that was the school kind of ended there, and I became his way to make more money. Like he would flip out if I didn't put the exact amount of fuel in the truck that he wanted. In certain spots, like the one time I rounded it up, like I think I rounded it up to the nearest 10 or some shit, and he fucking had a hissy fit. I think I turned around and I was like, well, I'm already over. I might as well just round it up. And yeah, he'd have me trying to fucking knocking on doors of places that don't open up until like 8 o'clock. I'd be there freaking 5 o'clock in the morning, pounding on the door because he told me to get out and fucking knock on the door 100 times. Just to get out of there early and shit. But the second guy I trained with that did flatbed, he was really good, man. I'm trying to remember his name. I doubt he would ever see my freaking YouTube anyway. But yeah, it was a Peterbilt 570. It was a 579 Peterbilt blue. Called it old blue. Yeah, that was some fun times there. Training under him. That's how I ended up technically learning to drive. I mean, I drove truck and shit before that. Not big rig, flatbed, but it was a truck. So I mean, it wasn't really hard for me to pick it up. Hey, Jerome Jones is in the house. What's up? He said, "What's up, Jackknife?" Well, what's up, Jerome Jones? Hope you're doing better than everybody else. Other than again, everybody else is doing pretty good for the most part. It's if they aren't, they changed what they were doing to better help themselves and their family situation out. So that's one thing too about trucking. You got to be ready to change on the fly your outlook or your perception of whatever you're doing. If you're like stuck on one lane or doing one thing, or things can change in an instant, and you got to be able to be on top of the ball to either uh, move over to flatbed or move over to reefer or go back and forth or vice versa. And that also includes with companies and stuff too. Well, that's a company driver. I usually tried to stay a year at every company I was with. Um, Prime, I was there for 6 months, and I said this 42 cents a mile. I said doing this wasn't worth it, and then they were trying to push me into a lease purchase, and it was just I couldn't fathom paying like $1,000 a week for a lease purchase. So I uh I got out of that. So but I'd have to say Prime taught pretty well. It depends what the trainer you got with, but majority of Prime when I was trained there back in 2013, or was it, no, it was maybe 2010, somewhere around in there. Um, they at least tried. The problem is though, like I said, they needed a little more oversight because the trainers would try to push it through so they could get their team bullshit going, and if you weren't really ready, uh, it didn't matter. You were going out on the road, you were going to become a steering wheel holder. So that's, if you got a good trainer that really didn't want to put up with BS and shit, they would flat out just come up and be like, look, this guy can't drive, he can't do this, and you would be gone. That's it. They would kick you right out of Prime, and you could maybe come back, but I don't think they give you very many chances if you can't pass the test, or you just are unsafe. But like I said, that all depended on the trainer you had. At least they didn't give you what you have now, where you have guys that have 1 month. They've been on the road 1 month and now they're trainers. And their trainer was on the road 1 month and so on and so forth or whatever. So that's I would say that's the biggest difference between their training process. Is the T&D and the amount of time that they actually gave you behind the wheel. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm gonna cut this short now. Um, Pretty much, I'm gonna try to find a load again. Maybe I'll come on later on tonight and bitch about everything too. So, let's see who's in here. Jerome Jones, old school, TBT. You guys have a good one. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you guys later. I'll see you.